Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm going to do my Friday Fright entry for the Horror Hounds contest. This week's entry theme was 90s horror flicks. I could have picked any number of the slashers that were out there. Uh, Urban Legend, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, there were, of course, Scream. There was all kinds of, sequels to the franchises that were out there. But I decided to do a little monster movie, The Relic, starring Tom Sizemore, Penelope Ann Miller, and Linda Hurt. This is set in a museum in Chicago, a history museum. It starts out in Brazil, where we have one of the scientists from the museum looking for relics and artifacts in Brazil about a certain tribe. Um, while he's there, he is a part of a I don't know, festival or something that this tribe is having, where they're singing and chanting and making different references that, of course, we can't understand because we don't speak their language. And they brew up this little concoction with leaves and water and give the guy a little cupful. He drinks it, and then he pretty soon starts having a reaction to whatever the leaves were. At first, you think he's just getting high from the leaves. But we find out later that these leaves actually have some kind of weird growth on them, some type of fungus or bacteria. They look like little amber-colored eggs. And we next see him trying to stop his artifacts from being shipped to the museum. And the guy in charge of the ship says, "I ain't got time for you." So he sneaks on the ship on a pallet that gets hauled up. Unfortunately, the ship is found without any crew, and Tom Sizemore is the police officer who has to investigate the ship. So they're looking around, and they go deeper and deeper into the ship, and they see all the crates and all this other stuff, and they have no idea where all the people went. There was blood, but no sign of any bodies until they get to the bottom of the ship, and they're smelling something weird. So they open the bottom of the ship where fishermen would have kept fish or whatever, and sure enough, there's the crew of the boat. They're all torn up and headless and dead. So they're not really sure what happened. They just know that they've got a big situation on their hands. All right, then Penelope Ann Miller is a scientist at that Chicago museum, and she is working to get ready for a big gala at the museum. All these rich people are going to be there to give them money, hopefully, and help their work continue. She sees some of the crates that had been delivered from the other scientist who was, we never really see him actually again as him. But we do see that these crates are full of those same kind of leaves. And the only thing that's in the crates, in the two big crates that had been nailed shut, was a broken relic. So they have no idea what that's all about. But she does keep some of the leaves because she sees those little weird eggs on them. So we go on. The museum closes for the night. We get the first idea that something's going on in the museum because a security guard goes down to a bathroom to decompress a little bit. And is attacked and killed by something. We have no idea what it is. He's just sitting on the pot, and the next thing you know, he gets ripped out from underneath the stall. And that morning, Tom Sizemore is at the museum, and we see what happened to the guard. He had been slashed wide open. His head had been completely decapitated, and his brain had actually been ripped out of his head, and it was laying in a different place than his head. Of course, this causes big problems for the museum because they're trying to get this show on the road, and Linda Hunt's like, "Come on, man, we need to get this. We need to get it open. It will devastate us if we can't have this gala." Tom Sizemore starts talking to Penelope Ann Miller about the different things in the museum and why would somebody want to do something like this in the museum, and she has no answers, and so he starts asking her about the scientist who had shipped this stuff over, and she didn't want anything to do with him, so she doesn't really talk to him either. And the other scientists that are working in the museum, they're just really kind of doing their own thing and trying to get stuff done. Unfortunately, we have a little visitor in the museum, and it works its way through the museum, ripping people up, and it has to eat part of the brain. That's during the autopsy of the guard. The MD says part of the brain's missing. The whatever, like a big chunk of what it makes up the brain was missing. Not all of it, but just like the hypothalamus and that sort of stuff. So Tom Sizemore has the people who took the bodies off the boat check for the same thing, and sure enough, same thing. Brains are half eaten. So now we have an idea that whatever this is, they still really don't know. It has something to do with killing people and taking part of the brain. So we go on, gets closer, the gala begins. It's all beautiful and happy and blah, 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 and then all hell breaks loose because the critter gets loose, and he starts eating people. Of course, we don't see a lot of the critter. You just see people like disappearing, but eventually we get some good shots of him. It's pretty intense. The kills are pretty good. It moves pretty quickly for the most part. I mean, there's some building at the beginning. It's not like right away we get to see this thing pop its ugly little head. And I really don't want to spoil it, but there is a connection between this and the scientist that was in Brazil. And that's all I'm going to tell you. You'll have to watch it to see what it is. But yeah, there's a big battle. Some of the characters get killed that I kind of liked. That kind of bummed me out. There is a really kind of claustrophobic scene where there's some kind of water leak, water main break in the museum, and they're trying to get out. And they're walking through this water, through this tunnel, to try to get to the other area because there's underground tunnels. And that little beastie thing shows up, and yeah, it's pretty intense. I really enjoyed this movie when it came out. It did come out in 1997, so check it out, guys. It's a good one. Thanks. Bye.